Hello everyone. I'll take a quick 15-20 minutes to paint a picture of how payment is going to look like in metaverse. And we all know it is very much an evolving space. So what I'm going to present here is a possibility. I'm also sure that this possibility is not very far from reality for the following reasons. The first reason being my personal experience. Not so long ago, when I start to speak about blockchain, I had to start by saying, blockchain is not cryptocurrency. Blockchain is different from Bitcoin. It is something that enables Bitcoin, right? We all know we crossed that phase, and the landscape has matured. And we at Relevance have built many enterprise solutions on blockchain, be it a peer-to-peer lending platform or digital asset management. So that gives me some confidence that enterprises are really starting to adopt this technology, not just exploring the opportunities, but also making some true implementations on top of that. That's number one. And the reason number two is listening to just all you experts for the past 2 days. That gives me renewed confidence in this technology and the landscape and the direction we are moving. So with that, let me start with a quick overview of who we are. We are Relevance, been in the business for 25 years, help our customers meet their business objectives by be it getting into a new market, by adding new features and functions, or reduce their OpEx expenses, API integration. We do all of that through our custom software engineering and product engineering mindset and practices. We have a global footprint of 1,200 engineers, and we specialize in cloud adoption, modernization, and helping our customers make meaningful use of emerging technologies like blockchain. Getting into the topic, the piece of code that you see here on the screen changed the world forever. This is the original implementation of the fundamental protocols of internet as we know it. The implementation of hypertext transfer protocol, HTML, URI. And this was recently memorialized as a non-fungible token and was sold for a whopping $5.4 million. And this, I believe, is a true tribute to Web 2 from Web 3. Not just because it memorialized this 9,500 lines of code with its original file stamps onto blockchain, but because how Web 3 is staying true to the original intentions of Web 2. When Sir Tim Berners-Lee developed this protocol and gave it to the world for free, he envisioned a platform that is open and free, a platform that sparks creativity, imagination, and collaboration. We all know internet started open and free, and it sure did spark imagination and creativity. We all know where we are today. It's not so much open and free. The philosophy of the internet today is, if I am not paying for a product, I am the product. So that's where we are. We can't do much about it because, say, for example, if I stop using some product, that is also a data point. There is this notion of not escaping from this. But this very notion is what Web 3 is all about. Changing this very notion is what Web 3 is all about. Web 3 is what to follow Web 2, fixing the shortcomings of the internet today as we know it. Shortcomings, especially in the terms of ownership of the content. And Web 3 empowers the owners, the creators, or the generators of the data, giving them control over what they want to do with it, how they want to monetize their valuable creation. With the philosophies of decentralization and technologies like blockchain, token economics, Web 3 is driving the ownership economy of today. Speaking about the evolution of internet, we all know what is coming at us, right? So this metaverse. Metaverse is the convergence of this physical world, this physical reality, with that of the digital world, right? And in doing so, it deepens the experiences that we have in the social and the business domain. And this concept of, or this idea of virtual world is not very new. We all, or you might know about Second Life, right? So, and if not, this is already existing today in the gaming world, right? So in terms of immersive games or maybe Minecraft, like Roblox, like platforms. But what is different now is how metaverse is starting to make inroads into all our aspects of life, including healthcare, manufacturing, social commerce, etc. So the other day I was walking around in this Decentraland, one of the virtual world platforms out there, and I ran into another avatar. We started a conversation, and I immediately came to know that that person is a Decentraland developer, right? So, that's where this is evolving into. And we already know that Microsoft is developing this mesh, which goes well with your team to do this conferencing in metaverse. And BMW is building a digital twin factory, right? So this is making inroads into all aspects of our life. And the other thing is, right now when we think about metaverse, we immediately imagine wearing VR glasses. Yes, that is how it is today. But for it to make inroads into all of these domains, it will soon evolve to be device agnostic, right? So we will be able to access this experience from all the devices that we have today. Now, setting aside the definitions of this Web3 and metaverse, let's see what happens when we mix these two ingredients together, right? So when we mix these up, we conjure up a portion that is really magical, and that portion is called metanomics. It is magical because it's going to open the doors for a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity, right? And again, this is based on a research by Citigroup, understanding metaverse in a broader sense, not just access through virtual reality goggles. So this metanomics is an economics of this borderless global ecosystem, right? And there, the opportunity that is waiting to explore is to the tunes of multi-trillion-dollar. Now, if we take a moment to think about, okay, what is going to drive this economy? What is going to move in this economy? As we have been discussing from all morning, yes, the fiat currency will have a role, but it is not going to just stop there, right? So the digitally native tokens, be it stable coins or in-game tokens, cryptocurrencies, so all of that will have a role to play. In fact, they already have. So now we know about Robux or mine coins, right? So my son was telling me the other day that a 6-year-old will do any chores if you give him or her 200 Robux, because that is all they want. And that's the sort of the economy that they are growing in already. And with metanomics, there is a lot of opportunities to explore with these cryptocurrencies and all of this in play. Now let's take a brief minute to look into what are the primary drivers of this economy. The first is going to be micropayments, right? So we are imagining a future where a service or content will be streaming in one direction and the packets of money will be streaming in the other direction, right? So imagine the sort of the infrastructure, the level of throughput that might be needed to build such a system. And we are speaking here, fractions of cents. Because the builders and the creators of the metaverse will expect, 24/7 access to their money, right? And immediate access to their money. That's how the mentality of the service providers there is going to evolve. Yes, maybe we can implement all of this in today's Web 2 payment rails, but it's going to be largely inefficient and expensive to do that, right? So that's the gap that something has to fill. So the next primary driver is the composability, right? So many of you might be familiar with this idea of money Legos, which is especially popular in decentralized finance. Composability is the ability to put together modules to build a new feature, right? So already existing modules to build a new feature. Can we do this in Web 2? Yes, there are APIs. We use OAuth, leveraging, say, for example, authentication from Google to log you in. All of this is there. But in metaverse, this is going to be a fundamental expectation, right? So to be able to put together different financial services and then package it all together as one service. So composability is another key driver. And programmability, right? So programmable money is very important. So because that is the next step of digitization, is tokenization, we need smart money. Like Nitin was saying, add smart to any of the problems and that problem is automatically solved. So programmability of the token and the money in metaverse is a key driver. So now, what do we have solving all of this, right? So there are, yes, there are ways of doing this in Web 2, but is it efficient and is it feasible? And that's the gap that blockchain-based decentralized finance is going to fill in the metaverse or in the metanomics, right? So for micropayments, you have cryptocurrencies. And for composability, right? So composability is a primary need for interoperability when it comes to the metaverse ecosystem. Because, you see, there is going to be multiverse of metaverses, right? So it's not just one metaverse, and the future is going to be that. And you are going to have variety of tokens. And you need a way to operate between these two metaverses and transfer of value between tokens, etc., right? So, and that's what composability is giving you. And that is made possible or will be made possible in blockchain ecosystem through various standards that we have today, standards like ERC tokens. And as far as programmability is concerned, smart contracts. So all of these are filling the gaps of Web 2 today, or will fill the gaps in metaverse. And all of these are the fundamental attributes of decentralized finance. Right, speaking of decentralized financing, it is an umbrella term for the infrastructure, the technology, for various financial instruments that will be made available in metaverse, right? So, and the applications are all the way from lending and borrowing, decentralized exchanges, stable coins, etc. I think last year, one of the virtual land in Sandbox was sold for $4.3 million. And I have seen property appraisal services for properties in metaverse, right? So, which tells us that all the services around mortgages will eventually make its way into metaverse, right? So, and that's where lending and borrowing will also become very essential. And of course, we already have many systems in place today, like flash loans, where you can get a loan without collateralizing a token, etc. All of these ideas in there, and those will be like fundamental expectations for someone, or if someone is wanting to venture into the space. And decentralized exchanges, liquid pools, those are concepts that are playing a key role in this area. Margin trading, derivatives, and insurance, pretty much all financial instruments that we have today in our physical world will be needed in the metaverse. So this is some of our thoughts around how a financial institution can start exploring opportunities in this. And of course, we cannot jump straight into metaverse. It's a progressive steps. So we are thinking that we can approach this problem in two dimensions. One is the customer experience dimension, right? So metaverse is all about giving that persistent, immersive, three-dimensional internet experience, right? So, and how do we go about doing that? Maybe first start building solutions using AR, VR-like technologies, right? So have your application tutorials there, right? And that's what JP Morgan is doing with their ONXI launch in Decentraland. And it is also a very good opportunity for virtual marketing. See, Netflix shows, say, for example, the most recent one, The Gray Man, has a presence in Decentraland, right? So it is all about marketing there. So maybe we can start by making that initial steps. And when it comes to core financial services, like traditional banking, you can start a transaction, ATM transaction in metaverse, and then come to the real world to withdraw money, right? So these are some of the sort of use cases that can happen. And it's all APIs behind the scenes, right? So with metaverse, what you are really changing is the medium of the delivery of your service. But in fact, the steps of progression is maybe start exploring distributed ledger use cases, and then see how we can play a role in DeFi, right? So through DAOs, and then get into metaverse, right? So again, these are some of the stream of exploration and experimentation.